before we get started, I actually met with Kevin earlier today, and he didn't have a speech until after that meeting. So now I know how he feels about me. Let's get started. Dating. Dating's kind of a tough game, especially first dates. How many people in this room can remember a terrible date that they've been on? Perfect. Then in the next 5 to 7 minutes, let me tell you about the time I once went on a date with a Toastmaster. So this story begins online. You guys know me. I work in social media. And being a social media professional is tough. It's kind of like being the fruit punch at a party. Nobody gives you a chance. Everybody, it's too soft. Everybody wants to go for the hard liquor. And I just watch them pass me by. Sometimes we mix, most of the time we don't. I was feeling pretty beaten up at work, and when I got home, I got onto my computer, I logged onto the internet, and I went to my happy place. Not that happy place. I'm talking about social media. One click led to another, led to another. Next thing I know, I'm on this online dating site, and I meet this girl. She's beautiful, for so many reasons. First, she had a complete profile. She listed out her interests. She loved social media. She believed in enterprise collaboration, and this is the best part. She was a Toastmaster. So perfect, but maybe too perfect. Maybe out of my league perfect. As I started to second guess myself, I remembered a piece of advice that my friend once gave me. He said, getting a girl is kind of like catching a Pokemon. You gotta have balls. Sometimes lots of them. So I sucked it up, asked her out on a date, and I made the reservation for 5:30. On the day of, we walk up to each other, we shake hands, and we enter the restaurant. Our waiter seats us. I take a quick glance at my watch. Hey, 5:30. We started exactly on time. The perfect beginning to a perfect meeting. Except, then she started peppering me with questions. When was your last relationship? Why did you guys break up? Are you a serial dater? It became pretty clear to me that she was a Toastmaster. You know why? Because she clearly came with an agenda. So typical. Man, I started to freak out. My hands started to sweat. Oh my God, I'm so nervous. And she could tell. Oh yeah, she could tell. So she then proceeds to give me a manual tip on how I can best speak publicly about my romantic interests. What was the tip? Well, I think it's one that we all know. She started ordering rounds of drinks so that we could loosen up. We then moved into the conversation segment of the night, and it kind of felt like we were in the competent communicator, because she started off with an icebreaker. As she started to tell me her life story, she got quickly organized and then jumped straight to the point. This girl was looking to settle down, start a family. I couldn't understand why. I mean, what's the problem? What's the rush? Until I realized what was going on. Oh my God, her biological clock. Of course. And for those who may not have ever heard that phrase, everyone has a biological clock. You can think of it like your internal timer. And her internal timer was showing her the yellow. Almost out of time. So once I understood where she was coming from, I understood her perspective, everything kind of changed. The conversation started to flourish. And we started getting very descriptive. Started thinking about how to best say our feelings. After that, things really changed, because then our bodies started to speak to each other. And the passion, let's talk about the passion. You could hear it in our voice as we started incorporating more vocal variety. But then, I'm sorry, it sounds like things are going well, but then the bomb dropped. Speech 7, research her topic. She revealed to me that she had researched me on social media. She knew all of my tweeting trends, when I was the most active, who I was following, and this is the worst part, she scoped out all of my ex-girlfriends. Ugh! That's a social media faux pas. You don't do that. Well, that's not true. We all do that. But you don't talk about it. It was like PG&E had pulled out the electricity because I was completely turned off. I didn't know what to do. But it actually gets worse. From there, then she started to evaluate me. Why am I so monotone? I could be more animated. Why am I so serious? She even reported back on my filler words. The ums, the ahs, the so's, you knows, the likes, the rights. Oh my God, I couldn't take it. I had enough. I had enough. So I told her I had to get going. Motioned over to the waiter for the check, and she was furious. She was furious. At that point in time, she demanded to know why I had to leave. A question I was unprepared for. Oh my God, you know, it's one thing to speak publicly about your romantic interests. It's another thing to be put on the spot. I started to shrink. I didn't know what to do. But then I realized that I, too, am a Toastmaster. The training started to come back to me. I started to remember everything I learned. I took a deep breath, gathered my thoughts, and I made up a story all under 2 minutes. All of a sudden, there was a random clap. I look around the room, and there's Aaron Nunez Gross. He was sitting at the adjacent table. He had been there the whole time, heard the whole conversation, and heard me bullshit through that story. Anyways, when I got home that night, I learned a valuable lesson. Guys, girls, never, ever date a Toastmaster. There's a lot of fish in the sea. There's like 7 billion people on the earth. Watch out for those Toastmasters. And if you ever encounter one on a date, just remember these 3 things. First, they're sneaky. They always have an agenda. Second, they're terrible listeners. They literally stop listening after 7 minutes. And then finally, they're always aiming for perfection. Nothing's ever good enough. But perfection to them is a function of how many filler words you used. Thank you, everyone.